What's up, guys? Star Wars Only here, and we're back with Rogue One versus The Force Awakens. I know last time I screwed up a little bit of the scoring method. It's still 2-1. It's just that it would show 2-1 on every single part of the video that it wasn't supposed to show. It's supposed to, actually go up and count and what. It's silly, but I should be able to fix it. This video is a simple little fix, but and I know last video a lot of people were saying that I don't know acting and I don't know pacing, but all they would say is that I don't know either of them, but they wouldn't prove me wrong on certain scenes, on who's a better actor and how. So if you think I'm screwing up on certain points, please prove me wrong. Don't just sit there and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about on pacing. Well, show me how Rogue One has better pacing than The Force Awakens. Don't just say it does, prove it. That's the whole point of these things. It's a nice little debate. Just tell me about it. And a lot of people give me crap for my last video, but I didn't pick a winner. I just simply said right now The Force Awakens is in the lead. And also, I'm unbiased on this. I don't really care who wins in the end. But anywho, let's get right into it on part 2 of Rogue One versus The Force Awakens. Let's begin. Next up, what we have is the characters of each movie. Now, there's a lot of characters in each of the movies, but still, which ones are more likable, which ones are more favorable and disliked, and blah, 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 blah. So, the characters in The Force Awakens are characters like, Han Solo, Leia, Luke, kind of, Chewbacca, but they're kind of the subplot characters. The main characters are Rey, Finn, and you can kind of say Poe Dameron. So, oh, and Kylo Ren. You can't forget Kylo Ren. He's amazing. But anywho, so those are the main characters of The Force Awakens. They're the kind of the new generation in the thing. Rogue One's characters were basically the entire Rogue One squad, but mainly Jyn Erso, the captain, and I guess you could say K2. But Donnie Yen's character, his best friend, the pilot, those are included, of course. It's not hard to pick your favorite characters out of this. It's more of a personal preference. But for me personally, I think Rogue One has the better characters, just because of the fact that it's more original. The Force Awakens basically was, all right, Poe Dameron's an old style Han Solo. Well, no, a younger style Han Solo. He's a really good pilot, and he kind of is just that badass, good looking guy. And then Finn is a defective stormtrooper. Yes, that's kind of original, but Rey was just basically a copy of Luke Skywalker. It didn't make sense how she could fight so well at the end of the movie and do the Jedi mind trick. That didn't make sense. I'm still kind of confused by that. And then you have Kylo Ren, who was that was obvious to want to be Vader, and that was the whole point of it. But even then, his character was just whiny and annoying for a lot of people. So the characters in those movies, in The Force Awakens, weren't really up to par with, I feel like, the characters from Rogue One. Rogue One's characters, even though I didn't really feel any connection with them, I'll go over that in my next part, the characters in there were very original. The captain, I guess you could say, wasn't as original, and maybe Jyn Erso because of the same orphan story over and over again. But Donnie Yen's character, his best friend K2, and the pilot, those were all original characters, and even director Krennic. I mean, stuff like that. Those were originality. That had originality to it, and I enjoyed that. So I think the characters in Rogue One were a lot better than the characters in The Force Awakens. Staying on the point of characters, there's character development, how the movie makes you care about the characters in the movie. And this is where I feel like Rogue One wasn't doing that great on. I didn't feel any character development. And like I said before, it was kind of due to the pacing of the movie, going very fast paced and everything. And they try to make some character development with Jyn Erso in the first 40 minutes and a little bit of the captain and everything, and somewhat of the pilot, but like Donnie Yen's character and his best friend, I don't know why I can't ever remember the names, but I don't care. How about that? I didn't feel much character development with them. I didn't feel much character development with any of these characters in Rogue One. And you can try to argue the point that, well, it's a short movie. Yeah, but that's not how this stuff works. There's many movies that are only 2 hours long, and you still get very good character development. I didn't feel much character development at all with these characters at all. I mean, I just really didn't. It's not the acting, it was the writing. They didn't spend time where you actually get to see the characters' kind of true emotions come out. Like, when I stated in my Rogue One review, when Captain was going off on Jyn Erso, that was character development. That's seeing two characters having a struggling conflict between each other and building the characters. So you can almost pick a side of, well, he's just following orders, but he didn't. So she should at least admire that in him, that he didn't kill her father. And then you have her side of, well, yeah, she has a point. He almost killed her father. That's the whole point he was doing that. That's character development. But then when you have Donnie Yen, his best friend, and the pilot just kind of sitting there not even saying anything, and he's like, anyone else have anything to say? Someone should have said something. Been like, yeah, dude, you're trying to kill her. Like, they should have had a big fight amongst each other. They should have all been arguing. They should have done this in the jail cell where they were, kind of just like disagreeing on what to do or if they should fight the Empire. Stuff like this builds their character development. There wasn't much character development in this movie, and that's okay, but it kind of brings the movie down a little bit. It's hard to care about a character when they die if there's no character development. You can't get teary-eyed when, the pilot just gets blown up in his ship when there was no development on him. I liked him, don't get me wrong. I thought he was a good character, but there was no character development, so I didn't feel a connection to him. I didn't truly care when he died. I was just like, dang, that sucks. So I think Rogue One should have had a little bit better character development. Force Awakens, of course, the whole movie was based off of character development, so it's kind of hard to say that it's not the better one in this. You do feel more of a connection with Poe and Finn than you do Rey, or at least I do, but you also do feel for Rey. The entire movie was going off their conflicts, each character's conflicts, and I feel like that's where this movie shines. Even with Kylo Ren a little bit, you build up your hate for him in a way, and that's not great, but it's character development nonetheless. So I feel like Rogue One is not up to par with The Force Awakens and character development, and Force Awakens gets the point for this simply because the entire movie was based off the character development. Next up, we have the setting of the movie. Which movie has better setting, as in the planets, where they're going, where they're at, stuff like that. And this one's a quick little one. Rogue One wins. They go to many different planets with, different kind of personalities to the planet, and it wasn't, I don't know how to explain it. The Force Awakens, Jakku was an obvious copy of Tatooine, and that was annoying. And where'd they go after that? Tokadona or something like that? That was cool, don't get me wrong, that was cool. But after that, they go to Starkiller Base, which is like Hoth, just with a big planet, with a big space thing in it, So, I mean, it wasn't bad, but there weren't that many planets that we got to visit in The Force Awakens. Rogue One, you got to go to many different planets, and you even got to go back to Yavin 4, which was kind of cool for many fans. And then you go to Scarif. So Rogue One easily gets the point here in setting on where they go, because they even go back to Mustafar and see Darth Vader. You're like, well, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, the setting overall was just a lot better in Rogue One than I feel in The Force Awakens. So point to Rogue One for the setting. Next we have originality. Which film's more original? And this is pretty easy, honestly. Force Awakens, yeah, like I said, the subplot was basically a copy and paste of A New Hope. I kind of liked that fact of the movie because, yes, it felt close to home, but I remember even watching it for the very first time going, wait a minute, this is the same damn thing. Am I in 1977? Like, I remember watching it and being like, what's going on? Why is it? This is the exact same thing. And that kind of is annoying. But I do like it. It's a love and hate kind of thing where it's like, yeah, it's a shout out to the originals. It's nice, but it's also like you're not being very original with this at all. And that's where I felt the entire way with The Force Awakens. The minute I read the opening crawls where it says the Jedi no more and whatnot, Luke's the last Jedi, I'm like, are you shitting me? Again? Because I really want to see the Jedi Order come back, and the fact that they just killed him off again, I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. This is stupid. Like, I was automatically disappointed with that very first opening crawl. That pissed me off a lot. But, anyway, enough of that. Rogue One, simple plot, get the planes for the Death Star. So the originality in that, it's pretty easy. I mean, it's not, completely original. Like, we haven't had movies on that stuff before, even though not Star Wars included, but, kind of a Suicide Squad mission type of thing. Like the movie Suicide Squad, but that movie sucked. But, anywho, these characters actually died. So, originality is pretty easy to give just to Rogue One because it was more original than The Force Awakens. It wasn't just some copy and paste on the subplot for A New Hope. So, originality, the point has to go to Rogue One. And last, but certainly not least, is nostalgia. Nostalgia. That word just, no, I don't like it, but, Alright, anyway, so Star Wars films need nostalgia in their films, especially these newer films. They need something that kind of refers back to the prequels that make us smile a little bit, refers back to the originals and makes us smile a little bit. And that's what these films have to do. The Force Awakens did it a little bit with, oh, maybe Snoke needs to make a clone army. You're like, huh, okay, yeah, not bad, alright. And then a lot of nostalgia when it came with Luke and Leia and Han Solo and Chewbacca, stuff like that. You're like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then they did a lot of nostalgia with the whole, oh yeah, here's the droid with secret plans. We need to destroy the Starkiller base. Trench run, one shot, do it. They're about to fire. They destroyed 5 planets. Like you're like, all right, this nostalgia stuff's going to another level that's just copy and paste and rewritten a little bit. Like it was good nostalgia, but it wasn't great. It was eh. Then you have Rogue One, which was nothing but nostalgia mostly through the movie. The entire movie was basically there to make the originals seem better than they already were. It was basically trying to forgive the small little thing that A New Hope had, which is, why the hell would they build an exhaust port that destroys the whole base? That makes no sense. And they were trying to show you, hey, I mean, they planned it. That's why the originals are perfect and the prequels suck. I mean, that's how Disney was looking at it, in my opinion. So, the nostalgia in Rogue One, where they're like, oh, let's go to this base, and, well, not this base, but let's go to this planet, and let's run into people from the originals. That was kind of annoying, in my opinion. I chuckled, don't get me wrong, when I saw all the original characters. I was like, wow, those 2 guys at the bar again? That's kind of interesting. And then R2-D2 and C-3PO, I was like, oh, they made it in. Why? But I was also like, why are they here? I don't understand the meaning of this one. But stuff like that, it got a little annoying, but it was still something that gives you a chuckle and gives you good laughs and remember the old trilogy, the good trilogy, in my opinion. So stuff like that is actually good, and they even had nostalgia for Bail Organa and stuff. Not to shout out to the prequels, it was some pretty good nostalgia stuff, and I like that. That's why I think Rogue One gets the point here, the final point for the battle of nostalgia, because they didn't copy and paste all the nostalgia. They basically just inserted some characters to make you smile a little bit, and it worked. Like I said before in my review on this movie, I don't like how they rely so heavily on nostalgia and the originals to make the movie better, but I can't deny it made the movie a lot better. So the final point here goes to Rogue One. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell, The Force Awakens lost to Rogue One. Do I personally think the Rogue One's the greatest Star Wars film ever? No, I don't think either of these films are actually better than most of the originals in general, just due to the fact that they rely so heavily on the originals. So yes, Rogue One is really good, but I do feel like that a lot of people were saying it's so great simply because it was fresh and it was new on their minds. Same with The Force Awakens. When that came out, you must remember that the first week, people were saying it is the greatest Star Wars film ever, at 99% on Rotten Tomatoes and everything, and IMDb, all this stuff. All these places were giving it amazing reviews, but then after a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 settled in, you started watching it and actually seeing it for what you actually started seeing it for what it really is. You realized it really wasn't a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. It was more like 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. So I mean, you gotta really let the movie sink in. You can't just fanboy on it the entire time. So yes, The Force Awakens did lose to Rogue One. Rogue One, in my opinion, is the better film. I understand The Force Awakens has your original characters and whatnot, but overall, Rogue One, in terms of films and what makes a good Star Wars film, in my opinion, is better. Does it blast it away? Not really. It's slightly better. Yeah, even though point-wise it did a lot better, it's slightly better. I don't think it's the greatest Star Wars film ever, but it is better than The Force Awakens. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment your ideas for my next video and tell me what you want me to make, because I need to start making some more videos. So, comment, like, subscribe. I'm Star Wars Only. I hope you guys enjoyed this. May the Force be with you, always.